Welcome to part 2 of the interview with Patrick on the sacred crystal sound treatment. And today we're going to answer a couple of questions that we have received from listeners, but also from clients. This will be a shorter interview, a shorter video. The questions that we will answer, they're not too many, just a few, but the answers might be of interest and beneficial for you. So before I'm going to start, Patrick and I actually would like to thank you very much who has watched the first video. We were very pleased to see so many hits already in a few weeks' time. And for the ones who have not yet seen part number 1, I will give you a short summary about myself and Patrick. So my name is Cindy and I am an energetic stepping and wholeness counselor. I'm working with spirit and I've got a YouTube channel that is called Blue Lotus where I share messages from spirit. And I also work with clients into well-being. I also do energetic work, and recently I have started a course and finished it also with Patrick. It's called Sacred Crystal Sound Treatment. Patrick Moulin is the author of the Little Book of Oneness, which is available on Amazon. Besides being a reader, he also gives private consultations, which he calls Akashic readings. Patrick gives these private readings in person or over the internet, but also to open groups. He travels between Central America and Switzerland to give workshops, Dolores Cannon quantum healing hypnosis sessions, individual energy sessions, and since this year he has also started to train people in the amazing Sacred Crystal Sound method. Hi Patrick, how are you doing?
Hello.
Welcome back.
Yes, I'm doing very well, and how are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. The sun is out here in Switzerland.
That's something definitely good, yes.
So are you ready for our first question?
Go ahead.
Okay, so some of our clients, they are actually wondering, how does each practitioner come up with the sound of the crystal?
Yes. We did touch upon it in the first interview a little bit, and let's go into this a bit more. First of all, when we talk of sound, what do we mean with this? We talked about there is sound and there is empowered sound, and that is what we need to look at it again. So first of all, when the client finds the stone and they receive instruction how to locate their stones, and this could be, for each client, the numbers may vary, how many stones they have to look for, because that will be part of their method that they receive for this sacred crystal sounds. Now, once they have found their stones, the next step is to locate the particular sound for each stone, and that particular sound, the audible part, that which they produce with their own voice, that is characterizing their individual relationship between the stone and themselves. It's like, this is like where they team up through the sound. And as they become a team, the stone itself is, you could call this participating in the treatment. Now, we did mention the role of the stones in the last interview, and we did mention that, if it's just a sound, then why don't you just produce it electronically, or record the person and just keep playing it and walk away. It's the sound itself, the audible part, is not enough. There needs to be the second element, and that is empowerment of sound. Now, the audible part, they learn in the course to find that sound. And this could be a static sound. It's like it's just an example. They don't need to be opera singers. It could be a dynamic sound, could be some dynamism in it. Each person comes up with different sounds. It's amazing. It's amazing, and for each stone, the sound is different. So they are being taught how to find those sounds. I'm not going to give them the sound. They are being taught how to find it. And they are always surprised and amazed how this works out. But in short, if you look at it from a deeper perspective, what does the sound characterize? The other part, it characterizes the meeting and the stone and the practitioner first met. There's something happening there. There's something particular happening, and that is encapsulated in the sound.
Yeah.
The sound tells you the story, you could say. And it's like all the information is in the sound already. Now, this is not something extraordinary in that sense, because if you look at how nature is structured, you can find every information of the entire universe in every single point. So you would find that also in a sound or in a drop of water. As Rumi says, the Iranian, fabulous Iranian poet from this, 1600s, so way back, a mystic, you could say. He said that it's not that the drop is in the ocean, it's actually the entire ocean is found in the drop. And he just wanted to refer that you can access all information of creation within every single point of creation. That's the principle of a holographic principle also that describes this phenomenon. And so in the sound, all the information is contained as to the relationship between the practitioner and the stone. And it's all encoded in it. It's beautiful in its own right to discover, for the practitioner to discover that sound. It's beautiful. The second part is the empowerment of that sound. And that relates to consciousness of the practitioner. The practitioner empowers the sound. And there's a specific way to empower the sound, but we could say this. It's like you have to fall in love with the sound. You do a lot of work on the level of the heart. You totally open up to that sound. It's like you want to bath in it. It's literally like this. You want to bath in it, and you totally surrender to it. It's its own universe in that moment. When you tone, that sound it's its own universe, and you are in it. If you're not in it, it's not empowered. You are in it, and it means that you have totally surrendered to it and become one. What this means is, in that moment, it means that silence and the power of surrender have taken over. And when that happens, something else gets activated. And that may be a bit hard to convey what that exactly is. We call this that something takes over in the process, and we may call this anything, self, higher self, whatever this is. It is something that takes over to create triggers in the room where the treatment takes place. Triggers of what? Triggers for rebalancing, triggers for healing, triggers for reconnecting, triggers for activation of memory in the client. And who controls this? You could say the higher self of the client. So how much the client wants to go in that direction of opening is his or her process. It's not the practitioner's task to dictate that. It can't.
Yeah.
The practitioner just puts these fantastic atmosphere. That's what he activates, the fantastic atmosphere charged with energy, and the rest is taken care by the client, who then dictates through his own readiness and openness how much of change should occur inside the client.
Mm-mm.
So there you go. Sound has two parts. One is the actual audible sound that he discovers, the practitioner discovers, and then the empowerment method to empower that sound, and that makes the sound unique in each practitioner, because the practitioner is different and the stones are different. So this is, for the client, a great situation, because if you have more than one practitioner in town, you can say, "Ah, this was awesome with this practitioner, but I'm curious what the other practitioner is doing. I want to hear his set of sounds." And then they go there. So the more practitioners, the better, because you just get literally hooked up to such a treatment. And if you have more variety, you say, "Oh, I go there, I go there." And I think I mentioned this the last time. It's not a competition for the practitioners if there's more than one. It's actually enlivening the field for the people. It makes more people interested into this method. And they can never serve everybody. It's too many people anyway, so they can never serve. The cake is bigger than they can eat, you can say.
Yeah, and then we can always team up, right? Work together also. And
yes, up to 4 and can treat one person, and that is a territory that is going to be awesome if there are enough practitioners in town that they team up. The synergistic effect that happens in such a treatment is phenomenal. So definitely, I have now several people that are that have queued up for treatments, for learning the treatment, and they already said they want to learn that aspect as well, to be able to treat together.
Yeah, it's actually quite fun to do this together.
Yes, definitely so. It is. They discover aspects in this interaction, like the practitioners, when they tone, there's some dynamism happening between them. And that's something they cannot discover if they treat alone. Now, treating alone doesn't mean this is less than as if several people treat one client. But this synergistic effect cannot be produced alone. It definitely is in the domain of when several practitioners work on one client. And you could say, perhaps, one practitioner treats a person, this is a wonderful treatment. If you have several treating one person, it's a bit like royal treatment. If there's something added to it, and that's wonderful. There's a combination of all these sounds, empowerments, and it's just wonderful. Different tones and like that.
Super, thank you. Question number 2. This is, I believe, posted underneath the video, our first video. I have a friend who is in a wheelchair and he's not able to lay down on a massage table. Can he still experience the sacred crystal sound treatment?
Yes. This is for the matter of anybody who has, let's say, a back problem or any of this, where they have a problem to really comfortably lay down on a massage table. If they can sit comfortably in a sofa, it should be, if it's not a sofa, it should be really a comfortable chair. If it's a chair that is not comfortable, it's not going to work. They cannot really. So it should be something comfortable.
Yeah.
And if they can sit there, that would be an alternative. But yes, it's always preferable to lay down. But if it's not possible, yes, by all means, they can wheel into the treatment room and receive treatment in this way. That's okay.
Super. The next question is one of my clients. He said, I would like to introduce this method to one of my friends who has a pacemaker. Would it be possible to treat people who have or had heart problems?
Now, with the pacemaker, they should consult their doctors first, if it's okay. And we would expect, yes, it would be okay, because what happens is they expose themselves to a room, they may comfortably lay down, then they hear some sounds, and it's so relaxing in there. The doctor would most likely say, yes, by all means, if it relaxes you, just go ahead. It's like you go into, let's say they go to a classic concert and they feel so inspired and they feel happy about it. If they can do that, they can also do crystal sound. It's not limiting their quality of life in this way. So, but they should, check it up with the doctor. They can say there's a practitioner that he does this sacred crystal sound where they have some stones and they place them perhaps around, and then they give some special tones, and it's supposed to be really relaxing. Can I do this? He would say something, but most likely he will say, go ahead. If it relaxes you, it makes you happy, I have no problem with this. This is typically the answer, but they should check. Nevertheless, always check about this. And in addition, the practitioner should feel this also. The practitioner should intuitively feel, is that okay with me? And if they say, if the answer comes yes, because like anybody, then they should go ahead. So there are these two things to check. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. Yeah, so we have to be comfortable ourselves to give a person with heart problems to give a session.
For example, if the practitioner is intimidated by a health condition, maybe the practitioner cannot relax enough to really do the work, and then it will be a pity. So they need to feel comfortable too.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you. The next question. I have a neighbor who has grandchildren. Is there a minimum age to receive this treatment?
Normally we would say 10, roughly 10. But it has to do with the fact that children tend to run around.
Yeah.
They gotta sit still. They say, Mom, I want to play this and that. And then they just keep running and try to do the treatment. Then it's not easy. So we say, okay, maybe at 10 they have this kind of. This is just subjective line. At 10 onwards, they may have to sing, they can lay down and be relaxed about it if they want it. So in general, we say this. First of all, the mother or the parents, they obviously need to want this, meaning they need to have the opinion, yes, this could be actually good for the child, this could be something beneficial. So if they say, yes, the child should get this, that's one thing. The other is the child itself.
Yeah.
The child needs, you need that the child also wants it. If the child says, no, my parents want it, but I'm not really interested, and I really don't want to be here, why bother? It's not, because the child will not relax or will have resistance and rather wants to play, which is okay. They won't play, it's fine. So the opinion or the opinion of the child needs to be respected in this as well. So it's not that the parents drag the kid along and say, now you go and have a treatment. It's not like that. It's because how can they relax otherwise? But if both conditions are met, what is the age? We say, 10 onwards. But then there are some we have encountered, they are younger, 9, 7. Well, if it's so that this constellation is there, that the child really would like to have that, and the parents say, yes, this is fabulous, and then the practitioner can say, okay, let's do one treatment.
And I'll see how it goes.
And if they are happy with it, then yeah, they can give another treatment, another like this. I would say, but not more than once a week when they are so small. Now, why do I say this? Let the child feel it out, how it was, and then let's see how the effects are throughout the following days, like this. So it's not about quantity here. Oh, we gave the child 50 treatments. It's not about quantity. It's about the appreciation and the ability to completely settle and resonate. So no more than once a week when they are so young.
Okay, and how is it, she mentioned as well that one of the grandchildren has a Down syndrome. Would this treatment be beneficial as well?
This could be potentially really beautiful, but it's always experimental somewhat. The experience of the child, and you can't dictate that it should lay down. Maybe it wants to sit.
Yeah.
And maybe it wants to have, I don't know, maybe it wants to hold something in the hand, and maybe it's not closing the eyes, or it does close the eyes and then it doesn't. One has to give that freedom to the child. So that's a different constellation with these children. But once they are getting exposed to the sound, and if they don't run out of the room, which can happen, why not? But if they can hold it, if they can stay in the room and be there, this could be really beautiful. This could be really beautiful because they respond from here.
No.
They respond from here to these sounds. So they might feel happy.
Yeah.
So this is experimental in the sense that each child in this regard may react differently. So from the practitioner's perspective, just try. But again, the practitioner needs to feel comfortable too.
Yeah.
If the practitioner feels overwhelmed, then shouldn't do it. So it's also a question of the practitioner. Do you feel comfortable? And why shouldn't you feel comfortable? It's all, you can say, an affair of the heart. So if you feel comfortable, just go ahead. But tell the parents, let's try and see what happens. And that's all you can do. And it can be really beautiful, though. Really beautiful. So it's worth a try, absolutely.
No, super. Okay, there's another question about kids. There it says, being a mother of a hyperactive child, I would like to give my daughter this treatment. I feel that my daughter is ready for it. She's 7 years old, and I would like to understand what kind of impact this treatment has for her. Would you be able to get into a bit more detail?
Well, typically, with hyperactive children, again, they also need to have the interest to get this treatment. If they don't want, can't. But if they want it, go ahead. And then typically the reaction is there's nothing in between that we have observed, is either they are completely gone. They lay down on the massage table, the treatment starts with the first sound, and they they are gone.
Yeah.
The hyperactive nervous system, the entire system, it's just completely calming down, totally calming down and relaxing. So it's actually a good effect. That's one response. The other is, what's happening? And they rather want to get up, which means they cannot resonate, they're too hyper still.
Oh, yeah.
And they might not be able to resonate with that. So one has to respect it. There are, anyway, for hyperactivity, there is a host of other things to be considered, but that's not the domain of the practitioner, the sacred crystal sound practitioner. But this is, one deals here with a different phenomenon that can be dealt with in different ways. And sacred crystal sound, as a side effect, can help to this whole thing, to rebalance this hyperactivity. It can, by just having the child getting into this relaxed state where a lot of normalization processes begin to occur. But this is not, we don't talk about healing here. It's not, this sacred crystal sound, we don't talk of healing. It's a modality that can help the person to get into such a deep, relaxed state where things happen by itself. And therefore, if a parent comes and sees it as a medical treatment, it's not a medical treatment. We should not treat it as that. It's too limiting. It's too limiting to the method. So there's so many other things happening: spiritual, energetic, emotional, mental, not just physical. And therefore, again, it's worth to try it. If the constellation is such, parents want it, the child wants to experiment, and the practitioner is happy with it, they should just all do it. And see what's the response. If the child relaxes so much, by all means, they should continue with it. And there will be some effects, but this is again, on a case by case and situation, and also they should evaluate after each treatment, after a few days, how did it go, and if it's good, why not continue if it has a good effect. So, yeah, in short, the answer is yes.
Super, thank you.
In short, the answer is yes.
So the last question, is there any food or drinks that can affect our body before taking a treatment?
Yeah, well, food, diet, everything, that's a big thing. But as far as the treatment is concerned, what we should avoid is, if somebody comes in, I give now an extreme example. Somebody comes in, he just met some friends before and is a little bit drunk. That doesn't work. Alcohol affects the treatment. So they should be sober, common sense, after all, it's a common sense situation. They should be sober. So that means, what about the night before? Let's say they have at 9 o'clock a treatment, but they have a party the night before. Well, it's better if they come to the treatment refreshed from the night and not have lack of sleep. Because what will happen is they might sleep through the and they may not notice anything because the system is too dull, because they have lack of sleep. So it's not ideal, but yeah, okay, it can happen. But we should, from the practitioner's perspective, say, try to get enough rest before.
Yeah.
Alcohol the night before, if just very little, if at all, just very little, better not, but if at all, very little. And of course, on the same day, no, it's not recommended. But you can't control that from a practitioner's perspective. All you can do is it's recommended because it may affect your ability to respond to the session.
Yeah.
The other is coffee. Yeah, if somebody comes and just had coffee or any other drinks that tend to push up the system, bring it into a more excited state, of course it is counterproductive to a constellation where you want to bring the person into a deep rest, because it's counteractive. So it is common sense to say, look, don't have coffee immediately before or 1 or 2 hours before. And then it's okay. Again, we can't control what they do, the clients, but one can recommend that. Now, likewise with food, if you have a big meal and immediately after you want this kind of session, you keep digesting through the session, through the treatment. You keep digesting, so it's counteractive. So there should be a little bit time in between where the digestion kind of starts to ease, and if you and most of the food is already being digested, so they can benefit more from the treatment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, thank you. Is there anything that you would like to add before we close?
Well, this is always a pleasure to go through these questions because they are good questions, and I hope this is helpful to anybody out there who either views this from the client side that they would like to have a session, or is interested to take practitioner training. There they can see how this relates with what kind of people they can deal with. I hope this helps, and if once we have more questions accumulated, we can do another one and see what comes from it. In any case, if you resonate with all of this, go find a practitioner and get the experience yourself and see how this works on you. And if you want to have that training, just contact me, and we can then look into how we do it, and then you can be of service to your place, to your town, region, wherever it is.
Thank you, Patrick. I will leave. I will leave the comment field open underneath this video as well. So anybody who wants to place any questions or comments, please feel free to do so. And I also will add the link to the Facebook page that Patrick has set up, and also to his website, so you can contact him. Well, thank you very much, Patrick, again for your time and answering all those questions.
It was a pleasure, and thank you too that you took your time to just do it. And
you're welcome.
See you next time.
See you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye everyone.
Bye.